What's up, guys and gals? It's your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the next piece of One Piece. Chapter 1061, entitled Egghead, the Island of the Future, which, right out of the gate, let's talk about the fact that this is clearly, at least in my mind, a Sonic the Hedgehog reference. A reference to Dr. Robotnik, also known as Dr. Eggman later on, is, of course, very similar to Dr. Vegapunk in a lot of ways, knowing that he has, and yes, I said he, and we'll get to that, but 500 years in the future when it comes to the technology and the advancements and all that stuff, you know, his technological, a genius in that regard, building, you know, basically a Tony Stark or an Iron Man, if you will. And in that regard, Dr. Eggman or Dr. Robotnik is very similar to Dr. Vegapunk, because regardless which Sonic game you play, some of them take place in like Morbius and stuff where it's just basically lush green hills and much more primitive, I guess, of a world. And then, of course, even in later Sonic games where you have them in the modern day Earth and stuff like that, nonetheless, Robotnik is clearly leaps and bounds ahead as a technological head of the future. You know, he's the version of the future with all his crazy airships and the Death Egg and this, that, and the other thing. So I like to think that Egghead Island is a clear reference because of the similarities there to the Sonic the Hedgehog. I think it's plain as day, but what do you guys think? And there's two reasons. There's two reasons I'm doing this as a review, and I'm sort of glad I'm doing this as a review because, of course, this is sort of, we're still in post one and we're still in the post stuff with a lot of big reveals and stuff. And I've been doing a lot of live reaction, live streams for these chapters because it's like, oh shit, Rayleigh's here. Oh shit, bounties. Oh shit, right? In this particular instance, you know, with that hurricane on its way here in I don't even know how many hours that's left before I'm going to lose power, and they keep changing their minds how devastating it's going to hit us. I decided, you know what, before I lose my internet, and before this and before that, I got to read the chapters as they come. I don't have time because I might not get a chance to stream. I might not have internet until Monday or Tuesday for all I know. So I made sure to read the chapter, and did I regret doing that? Absolutely not, because I'm very glad I did this as a review because I'm going to be in the minority here. And just hear me out. Dr. Vegapunk's here. Yay. I'm not disappointed that we finally get to meet Dr. Vegapunk, or clearly this is not Dr. Vegapunk, and we'll get to that once again. But, and the info dumps that we're clearly going to get, Devil Fruit origins, and how is he so advanced, and all this stuff, and I said he again, we'll get to that. All that stuff I'm intrigued by. I'm very interested. Does he have any information like that Robin isn't aware of about the Void Century, stuff like that? How is he so advanced and stuff like that? Like, there's a lot of information that Vegapunk is definitely going to provide to us. You know, that has been established by every YouTuber, every Redditor, everybody in the One Piece community has accepted. Once the Straw Hats run into Dr. Vegapunk, we are going to get a huge info dump, a big wowzers to the lore of the One Piece world. And I still believe that, and I'm excited for it. But Dr. Vegapunk as a character? Okay. Dr. Vegapunk's here. Yay. We got no information in this chapter, so realistically, this chapter, some people might be going nuts over, like, basically, let's just call it nutting early, if you will, because is it cool that we finally, like, I think it's more the anticipation of what's going to come in, you know, chapter 1062, 163, or what have you. People are super excited for this chapter because it's representing we're going to get some crazy info dumps in the future, but realistically, this chapter is the Straw Hats get beaten by one of Vegapunk's malfunctioning giant jaws megalodon sharks and get rescued, so to speak, by Dr. Vegapunk. And Jinbei, Chopper, and Luffy and Jewelry Bonnie get separated from the rest of the crew. But they're on the same island. They're on Egghead Island, so they all washed up there. That's what happens? Oh, Helmeppo's a member of SWORD and wants to go after Blackbeard to save Kobe. Which we know that's not going to happen. We see Tashigi, stuff like that. But realistically, this chapter, you know, okay. It was a really cool shot of the the mechanical giant shark thing in the water. Very detailed, very dark, very ominous. That was really cool and stuff. And once again, I'm just not huge into the giant mecha in the One Piece world sort of idea. You know, like the time traveling samurai and stuff like that wasn't really my cup of tea either. And realistically, like I like Frankie, but I'm not starry eyed like Chopper, Usopp, and Luffy over the. It's a Gundam! It's a Megazord! It's a this! It's like, yeah, I get that that's Frankie's shtick and that's his gag, but like, I don't really care that there's an even more... that Vegapunk made a Megazord that, you know, is underwater. Like, I'm just like, okay, that's cool. Let's move on to, alright, what's next, you know? So, for me personally, this chapter was good, but nothing great happened, as far as I'm concerned. Julie Bonnie is very impressed that Jinbei has joined the Straw Hat crew, knows he's an emperor, keeping up with the times and all that stuff, so fine dandy. Clearly here, says that she's here for the Egghead Island, clearly, most likely anyways, to talk about Kuma, right? Who has now escaped, or been set free, and is now in the hands of Dragon and the rest of the revolutionaries. But yeah, this would be the most lackluster in terms of wide-eyed wow of chapters since post-Wano, I would argue. And a lot of people will bite my head off for that. Like, no, Vegapunk's here, and she's hot. And I'm like, well, first off, it says number 2 on it. So I think it's probably like either it's an android, like something like the original pacifista, maybe a perfected pacifista, something similar to Kuma perhaps, you know, a biological, like once again, an android or cybernetic organism, a Terminator, if you will. I don't think this is actually Vegapunk. Vegapunk might be remotely controlling this I'm Dr. Vegapunk, the woman who pilots the Gundam, or the Megazord, but I don't think anybody's convinced, because we have had multiple people throughout the story refer to Vegapunk as an old man, as a he, multiple times. I believe that most of the community is with me on this when I was checking Reddit and Discord alike. A lot of people are saying, yeah, clearly, you know, either the daughter, who's claiming she's Dr. Vegapunk, very reference to like Milk and the second Milk and Toriko sort of idea. It's like, I am Milk. Well, no, you're the second Milk, but you're doing the same deal. So maybe Vegapunk's daughter, perhaps, and so still Vegapunk, technically, she's not lying. Or, as I said, most likely, I think that she's just being remotely controlled, or she's a thinking, breathing, like an android, working for the real Vegapunk. Maybe it's one of those brain transplant thingies that just happened recently. Got too old, transplanting the brain like Dr. Zero from Dragon Ball Z. I don't know. Either way, though, that's basically the chapter. You know? Like, we get the fact that Helmeppo is a member of SWORD, and one of Kobe's other subordinates, this Prince Vice Admiral guy, is a member of SWORD, or Rear Admiral, whatever, is a member of SWORD. You know, so we're getting a couple of members of SWORD here, but he's basically like, no, we cannot go after Kobe, sorry. That's all that really happens. We see Tashigi for a cameo pretty much with the kids from Punk Hazard. The Straw Hats somehow end up losing to a malfunctioning mechanical Jaws. And I'm sitting there like, wow, that is not a good look. That is not a good look for these guys. That is not a good look at all. So the jokes will be made about the power scaling there. And yeah, and as I said, I'm excited for what Vegapunk will reveal, but I've never really been intrigued by meeting Vegapunk just straight up, like at the end of the chapter here. Hi, I'm Vegapunk. It's like, great. You know, we, like, okay, now can we understand the origin of devil fruits and why they're hated, why, you know, all the reasons for the devil fruits, and how do you make an artificial one, and do they all have souls, or is only the will of the previous users are in them, and what's going on? Is it just magic? Like, you have all the answers. I'm excited to hear the answers, but since we don't get any info from Vegapunk in this chapter, I'm just like, alright. As I said, not a bad chapter. And I'm excited for what Vegapunk is going to reveal. And I'm glad, because I don't think anybody expected us to land on Vegapunk's fucking island. right after 1-0. I don't remember anybody calling that one or theorizing about that one. So am I excited? Yes. But for the chapters after this. You know? That's it. You know? There wasn't really a whole lot to this chapter, in my opinion. So, once again, final thoughts. Not a bad chapter. Excited for what Vegapunk is going to bombshell drop on us about One Piece lore, specifically Devil Fruit lore. But outside of that, it was a chapter. We're on our next island. Let's go. You know, I guess that's all I got to say. So, yeah, so I'm actually kind of glad that this wasn't a live stream or a live reaction because I think you guys would have been disappointed because I don't like to fake my reaction. I don't like to wow over things, certain parts of stories that don't interest me as much as some other people. I'm not going to be that wowed. So, you know, I think this was just worked out. You know, the stars aligned. It just worked out. That this one happened to be a review. So that's it for the chapter review. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm a little rusty. Like an actual review for the One Piece chapter, so maybe this is correct. Oh, and Niji and Yoji, everybody's getting away with Caesar Clown. So the Super Sentai brothers of Sanji and sister of Sanji and Caesar Clown all got away from Katakuri and Oven there. So that's cool. Anyways, that's the chapter. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you are in the Eastern Canada area, be sure to be safe this weekend. They keep changing their minds whether we're only getting 70 to 100 kilometer an hour winds with 100 millimeters of rain, which still quite bad, but not as devastating. And then they change their minds and say no, upwards to 150 to 170, which is where trees get uprooted and people get hurt. So definitely, you know, hope everyone's going to stay safe. I hope I get to stay safe. And yeah, so like, comment, and subscribe, everyone. Don't forget to drink responsibly as always. And we'll see you back here next time for the next piece of One Piece. Break next week. See you next time. Bye-bye.